Okay, so we stopped over here. I have to back up a little bit. We had a little mess up, but I remember where we stopped at, so hold on. My paper clips fell out, so bear with me. Here we go. At page 236. Page 236. As usual, her mom was still talking frantically, and as gentle, she set the phone back in its cradle. Oh, my Lord. Come here, come on. Jace pulled her close. She wrapped her arms around him good and tight. Why couldn't I have a normal mother? Say one like yours. That would be so refreshing. He pressed his lips to the crown of her head. Your mom will come around in time. I hope. I truly do. She's not all bad, you know. He answered gently. I know she's not. She really does love me. I think she truly believes that she's doing the right thing. She just can't let go of this idea that Kenny Donovan is the knight in shining armor, that I have to be out of my mind to walk away from him. She let out a low groan. Honestly, I have no clue how to get through to her. He tipped her chin up and pressed a quick, hard kiss on her lips. I know a copy place on the east side of town in the mall in that we call Newtown. We'll put some invitations together today. Send one out to the family. We'll send one to your mom, too. You think sending her an invitation is going to make a difference with her? Frankly, I can't see how. He kissed her again lightly this time. I just think it's good to remind her that we do want her there for our wedding. By the time she gets the invitation, she'll have had a few days to think it over, to change her mind about coming on so strong. I think once she settles down, she's going to realize that you're what matters to her. She'll want to mend fences by then to make peace with you. Oh, if you could only be right about that. He stroked her hair, and she snuggled in even closer, reveling in the warmth of his body, the strength in his big arms, the scent of him that was clean and manly, and managed somehow to excite her and to comfort her simultaneously. He asked, You want to try and get a little more sleep? Ha! As if that's an option at this point. I'm so hopped up on adrenaline, my ears are buzzing. So, okay, let's get some breakfast. Over bacon and eggs at the grub stake, they planned out their day. Page 236, 237. Okay. Page 249. She could not breathe, and her heart had stock still in her chest. Twin lines appeared between Jace's brows. Josh, you okay? She was actually more than okay. The first breath came flooding back into her chest, and her heart started beating again, and the hotel bedroom seemed so beautiful so suddenly. It seemed to glow with golden light. Happy, she thought. At this moment I am so perfectly gloriously happy. Never in her life had she ever felt anything like this. Everything just paled next to this. She saw it all. Her life lit up now. Her lonely childhood with her brave, determined, damaged mother, page 249, 250, 251. Her adolescence, during all of which she felt awkward and different. She never managed to fit in, and later, through a couple of years of college and her first job in a restaurant business, which she discovered she enjoyed, through her search for a good guy who could help her make her big, loud, happy family she'd always dreamed of, to Kenny, who was supposed to be the one, her guy forever, and had turned out to be anything but. All of it. The whole of her life until she met Jace. It simply couldn't compare to her days and nights with him, to this one shining, perfect moment. She didn't even stop to consider. She just opened her mouth and let that scary words pour out. I love you, Jason Traub. I love you so much. I never even knew that it could be like this, that it could feel like this, could fill me up like this. Her throat clogged as the words ran out. He didn't look happy. Not in the least. He looked stunned. Maybe. And very uncomfortable. She felt her face turn blazing red. Oh, wow, she winced. More information than you needed, huh? Because seriously, this hadn't he made it painfully clear up front that he had no clue what love was, that he just didn't get it and didn't care to get it, that he only wanted to start business and settle down, that he liked her a lot, but for him, love didn't enter into it. How had he put it last Sunday when he asked her to marry him? I have no idea what love really is, and I'm better off not kidding myself that I do. Oh, God, way to go, Josh. What had possibly possessed her to just blurt it out like that? He set the pillow aside and sucked in a slow breath. Well, good. And he actually pasted on a fake, too cheerful smile. That's great, Josh. I mean, thank you. Thank you? Josh, I say I love you and you say thank you? Josh, she put her hand up a hand. Okay, yeah. Bad. Really bad. And exactly what she should have expected if she'd only had the presence of mind to keep her mouth shut until she'd thought the whole thing through. Duh. Double duh. In a big, big way. Come on, Josh. He looked at her so embarrassed, so totally out of his depth. And her mouth felt as dry as a handful of dust. Her heart felt like a shriveled husk in her chest, and she swallowed with care, and made herself ask him, so then, is this going to ruin it for you? Do you want to back out now? Because if you do, I would appreciate knowing that now. Back out? He looked at her totally dazed, beyond confused, and so handsome she hated him, almost as much as she loved him. Because seriously, he was much too good to look at. It wasn't fair now, she thought about it, how really hot he was. Excuse me, she said carefully, are you saying you didn't understand the question? He stared to push back the covers. Josh, she leveled a look on him that had him sinking back into bed. Do you just want to back out? Just say so. Just answer the question. No, then, okay? Okay? As a matter of fact, it wasn't. It wasn't even okay in the least. No, she echoed with excruciating care. No, he repeated again. It's what I said? No, you don't understand. Or, no, you don't want to marry me. What are you telling me, Jace? Just do me a big favor and be straight with me about this. His very handsome square jaw was set. He said with heavy emphasis, I do want to marry you. I don't want to back out. Relief flooded through her. Yeah, it was tinged with a weight of sadness and mortification and a host of other not so fun emotions. But still, it was something. You mean that? You really do still want to marry me? Now he was the one swallowing. She watched his Adam apple bounce, and then he nodded. I do, yeah, it's what I want. You and me, the life we planned. I still want that. He paused. She waited. Finally, he began halting. It's just that, well, the whole love thing. She cut him off. Stop. I don't want to hear it, you know. I sincerely do not. He blew out a slow, cheek-puffing breath. Wow. Well, whatever you say. She wrapped her arms around herself in a meager attempt to give herself a comfort that he couldn't or wouldn't. It was a mistake to even bring it up, the whole love thing. I know. I just don't understand what I was thinking. After all, I understand how you feel about it, and it's my bad. It's not like you didn't set me straight right from the first, like you didn't make yourself pretty clear, Josh. She just shook her head hard. No, I mean it. Can we just stop talking about it? Can we just let it go? Was that the relief that she saw in those beautiful chocolate brown eyes of his? So what if it was? She could relate. They were both relieved. He that she was giving up the love talk. She, because he claimed now he still wanted to marry her. Now her mouth tasted like sawdust, and the luxurious bedroom, aglow with golden light moments before, was all at once dingy and dark. Josh, you know that I care for you. She looked away. Just don't, okay? Just stop. I said I understand, and I do. There's nothing more to say about it. The covers rustled as he pushed them aside. Again, damn it, Josh. Someone knocked at the outer door. It was perfect timing as far as Josh was concerned. What now? She asked bleakly, turning to look at him. You think that's your mother? He swung to his feet to the floor. God, he was so beautiful. I hope not, he muttered. I'll get rid of her. No, I'll get it. She tied the belt of her robe more securely. He didn't say anything. He was looking at her sideways with a concerned kind of look. Well, he could take that look and shove it. She didn't need his concern. He didn't want to go there, and neither did she. Not anymore. They got along great, and they knew what they wanted, and that was enough for him. And it would damn well be enough for her to show him she was fine with the way things were. She sent him a big defiant smile, after which she whirled and headed for the other room, pausing only to shut the bedroom door firmly behind her. The knock came again as she reached the foyer. She ran her hand back through her hair, sleep-muzzled hair, and peeked through the peephole. Her heart sank. It wasn't Jace's mom out there in the hallway. It was hers. Okay, now that was page 249, 250, 251, 252, 253, 54, and 55. Moving forward. Okay. $268. He looked at her steadily. It's not the same. Your distance. Cool to me. She shrugged. Be patient. I'll get over it. She wouldn't, but she would get used to it. At least she hoped she would. She'd learn to live with the being alone in love. His gaze burned darker, more intense. Listen, do you need me to say it? I can. Just say it if that's what you need. She looked at took his meaning and whispered low. Would you say that you love me even though you don't? It's only words. To you, maybe. He still held her wrist and didn't let go. Instead, he guided it back behind her and brought it up close against his broad, rock-like chest. Whatever you want, just say it, I'll do it. It ached, a deep, thick kind of ache, an ache that was almost pleasurable, but she didn't have his love. But he did want her a lot. It was something, not enough, but still better than nothing. Okay, Jace, go ahead. You say it. You lie to me. His arms banded tighter, and he pulled her even closer. What breath she had left came out as a gasp. And then he said it roughly, angrily, his breath warm, sweet across her cheek. I love you, Josh. She tipped her head to the side, opened her mouth slightly, and ran a tongue over his upper lip, openly taunting him. His eyes burned brighter, and his muscle jumped in his jaw. She said that with a smile that really wasn't a smile at all. Somehow it doesn't have a ring of truth, you know? And for what good is a lie to me? Not a whole lot. 268, 269, 270. Josh, he said with her name very low that time. It was a warning and also somehow a plea. I don't want to lose you over this, okay? Over 3 little words. How stupid would that be? No, I don't get the whole love thing. I think it's a crock. You want me to be with someone? You want to be with someone, build a life with someone, or you don't. And the point is, I want a life with you and want you at the same thing with me. She hitched her chin higher. I'm not arguing. We're on the same page with this. Are we? He didn't look convinced. And she was softening. How could she help it? With his fine, big body pressed against hers, tempting her, and his heated words in her ears, reminding her that he did care, that he wanted her, and that he had promised to be a good, true husband to her, and that she believed in him on all those points. That believed in him. The L word shouldn't matter so much. It was the person that did matter. Yes, she let out that tone go of her soft heart. Yes, we're on the same page. She reached up with a hand he hadn't trapped behind her back and caressed her slightly stubbled line with his not-so-manly jaw. We just bought our business. We're going to find the right house. We're getting married, and we're going to have many kids as the good Lord will grant us. It's going to be great, he said fervently, contract in his free hand, crackling a little with his fist on it. You'll see. I know. She gave him a real smile that time, even if it was a little wobbly. Yes, it will be great. Josh, he whispered her name as Fine's mouth swooped over to cover hers. Her knees went loose and sagged back heavily against the door. As she ran back against the door, something happened. Remember, the mother was still present. Oh, Raylan exclaimed. Well, I'm sorry. I thought I heard a knock. Not a problem, Josh lied as she straightened her summer skirt and recovered her dignity. Jace actually chuckled. Caught us in the act, Raylan. Raylan only pinched up her mouth and smoothed her hair. I'm glad you're back. I've made a list of staples we absolutely must have to function around here, and Jace and I was thinking that maybe you could make a quick run to the local supermarket while Jocelyn and I finish putting our things away. Josh saw right through her mom. This was going to be divide and conquer time. She was sending Jace away so they could go back to work on Josh. Not happening. We can deal with that later, Mom. We're invited to dinner at Jace's cousin Dax's house tonight. But we'll at least need eggs and coffee for breakfast tomorrow. Actually, we won't. We can walk downstairs to the bakery. The bakery croissants have eggs, ham, and sausage. Whatever you want in them. And they're to die for. That could get expensive. Mom, it's one day. We'll shop for food tomorrow after breakfast, when it's not pouring down rain. Jay spoke up. Give me the list, Raylan. I'll be happy to pick up whatever we need right now. Josh whirled on him. We should talk. She grabbed his hand and come in the bedroom. She sent her mother in a withering glance. Mom will be right back. Raylan knew when to keep her mouth shut. She gave a tight little smile and let them go. Jace willingly went. Josh towed him to the larger bedroom at the back of the apartment, dragged him inside, and shut the door. He went over to the drop edge. You know what she's doing, don't you? He didn't even have to think about it. She wants to get you alone and tell me all the reasons you shouldn't marry me. So why are you letting her get away with it? Because you can't avoid her forever. She's staying right here in the apartment with us. You might as well face her down now at the gate. Let her know that you're not running scared, and she better straighten up and fly right, or she can get back in that big old Buick of hers and head home to Sacramento. He was right, of course, but still I have to let her know it doesn't do any good. So tell her to go home. I'm not at that point yet. Close, but not yet. So that's page 271, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82. He got up then, and then he came close. You need to show her that she doesn't get to you. But that's just it. She does get to me. And don't tell me that you don't know exactly what I'm going through here. Remember the first day we met, when you practically begged me to go to the rib shack with you to pretend to be the date to your family who would stop trying to set you up? He grunted. You would have to remind me. They're driving me nuts. So, all right then, you understand, and I did mean it. Don't leave me alone with her. Josh, you're only putting off the inevitable. That's right. I keep hoping I'll get lucky and she'll decide to back off and be reasonable. He shook his head. She seems pretty determined. She made a face at him. She's determined, all right, determined to put a stop to our wedding. Think about that. Out on the landing a few minutes ago, you were all but about how you really, really do want to marry me. It's true, he said simply. I do want to marry you. His words touched her. He was such a big, handsome bundle of contradictions. He wouldn't say the L word without scowling, yet he sincerely wanted to make a life with her. My mother is up to no good, she said. Josh, she came all the way up here to Montana to try and make up with you. She wrinkled her nose at him. That is so not what she came up here for. He caught a lock of her hair, rubbed it between his fingers. Talk to her. She could become seriously annoyed with him. When it's your mother, you can't run away fast enough. But when it's my mom, I'm supposed to hold my ground and talk it out? You're a woman. Women are better, all that crap. Crap, she muttered. A truer word was never spoken. He slid his hand up under her hair and clasped. Lovely sensations cascaded through her, and then he pressed his lips so tenderly to hers. Talked to her. 5 minutes later, he was out the door. And she was alone with his scheming mother, who took her hands and dragged her into the long, narrow kitchen, down to the little round table at the far end. Sit down, Raylin, said in her warmest, most conciliatory tone. Let's catch up a little. Reluctantly, Josh sat. Jason's very handsome, her mother said carefully, a brave soldier in a dangerous field of hair-trigger landmines. Very charming and very compelling. Yes, he is, and I gather he's got money. Yes, he does. I can understand how he might have swept you off your feet, Raylin presumed. Presumably so that Josh could agree with her. Josh said nothing. Her mother forged on. But really, how can he possibly be in love with you? Or you in love with him? Love. Josh felt the muscles between her and her shoulder blades just snap tight. The last thing she wanted to discuss with her mother was love. It was so sensitive a subject right then. And she didn't want her mother to know that Raylin was trolling for weaknesses. Josh refused to show any. She ordered those tense muscles to relax, and she kept her face composed. Raylin kept going, rattling off her list of reasons that Josh and Jace were doomed to failure as a couple. You met so recently. It's just, well, Jocelyn, it's a fling. On the rebound, and that last thing a woman should ever do is marry a man with whom she's having an affair with on the rebound. Josh couldn't resist. She got in a jab of her own. Is that what happened with you and my father? Raylin stiffened. I beg your pardon. We are not discussing your father. I'm just trying to determine how you're such an expert on affairs and flings and getting something going on the rebound. The way I remember it, there was just my father, and then when he left, that was pretty much it for you. Jocelyn, this is not about me. Josh let out a slow breath and shook her head. Mom, you're wrong. I think this is very much about you and your fears and your inability to move on, to try again with a fit man after Dad walked out. No, it's not. Raylin put her hand to her chest. 2 bright spots of color bloomed on her cheeks. It most certainly is not. This is about you, about how the wonderful man that loves you and forgives you for making a fool of him in front of 300 people on your wedding day. I did not make a fool of Kenny. He did that to himself by rolling around with a half-naked cousin in the coat room of the church. That never happened. Mom, it happened. I saw it with my own eyes. What happened is that you got cold feet. I remember that you were having second thoughts. You confided in me. Don't you recall? Yes, I do recall quite clearly. You convinced me that all brides have second thoughts, and I should go through with the wedding, and then you blew me off. No, I did not. I helped you see that you shouldn't have let your unfounded fears get in the way of your happiness. Josh braced an elbow on the table and rested her forehead in her hand. This is going nowhere. We need to talk about this. We have talked about this. I have no idea why you're so obsessed with convincing me to get back together with a self-absorbed jerk who cheated on me on our wedding day, but I can't argue with you about this any longer. I'm finished. I'm marrying Jace, and I'm never going to go near Kenny Donovan again. That's the end of it. The end of it, Mom. It's over. Stop it. But I have to. Josh stopped, her hand flat, smacking the table. The sound was loud and sharp in the small space. Enough. I've had it. I can't take this any longer. I'm sorry. I can't get through to you. And it doesn't matter what you do. You are not going to change my mind. Kenny loves you. He loves you so much. And you are being so cold and cruel to him. How can you be like that? Why can't you see how horrible you're behaving? It was the final straw. That's it. The end. I want you to go back to Sacramento, Mom. I want you out of this apartment. I've got 16 days until Jason and I get married. They are going to be busy days. I can't have you at every chance you get battering away at me, so sure of your righteousness, so certain that you're eventually going to wear me down. You won't wear me down. What you'll do is ruin what a beautiful, busy, exciting 2 weeks. You just want me out of here so you can be alone with that man. Josh let out a laugh that sounded more like a groan. You know what? That's right, I do. I want to be alone with Jace. Why wouldn't I want to be alone with him? Jace is funny and tender and smart, even if he isn't in love with me, is what she's thinking. And all he ever wants to do is give me the life that I've always dreamed of. What's not to like about that, Mom? What happens when he gets tired of you? That hurt. That really hurt. She answered firmly. He wants to be with me. He's not going to get tired of me. You are blind. Foolish and blind. Back at you, Mom, is what she's thinking. However, she says, I mean it. I want you to go out. Page 280, 281, and 82. We're getting closer before you get a book review. Well, you're getting a review now, but tidbits, but I mean the rating. Jace returned at 20 after 5. His arm was loaded with groceries. There are more in the car. Where's your mom? In her room sulking. She took one of her bags from him and turned to the kitchen. She'll be leaving tomorrow morning. He followed her in there and set the bags on the counter. He asked low voice so there was no chance of her mother might hear. You're sending her away? Yes, I am. You sure? Yes, I'll make it very clear she's still welcome to come to the wedding. He took her hand, turned it over, wove his fingers with hers. You okay? What happens when you get tired of me was going through her head. I've been better. He pulled her close into the circle of those powerful arms. She let herself lean on him, breathed in that special scent that belonged only to him, told herself that she wasn't going to let her mother's cruel, misguided words get to her. But those words were in her head now, stuck there, along with the bald facts that she loved him, and he didn't love her. Page 282. He told her right up front that he'd always been a player, that he'd never been one to settle down, not until his whirlwind affair with that rich oil man's daughter, and now he was doing it again with her, with Josh. Could a man really change that much, or was this just some phase he was going through? He thought he ought to settle down, so he swept her off her feet and then proposed, just like that he'd done with that Tricia Lavelle. He was the last single guy in his family. Maybe that was getting to him. Maybe he was trying to conform to his family idea of what a man was supposed to do with his life. Was it only a matter of time before he realized that marriage in a big full house of rowdy kids wasn't for him after all? The questions spun around in her head. She told herself to ignore them. She wasn't going to let them ruin her happiness. She held on to Jace tighter. It was going to be all right with them. He wouldn't get tired of her. She believed in him and what they had together. Everything would work out fine. Page 287, 288. 287. Okay, that's one page. Is something wrong? Jace asked softly. No, not a thing, she said. It was what she told him 2 other times in the past week when he asked if she had something on her mind. There was no point going into it again. She loved him. He didn't have a clue what love was. What else was there to say? Jace waited until they got back to the stables to tell her that he bought her cupcake for her. She threw her arms around him and kissed him long, hard, right there in front of the gaping stable hand. Jace was such a great guy, the best, even if he didn't love her. Even if she kept trying not to worry that someday he would leave her, the way her dad had left her mom. page 289 and 290. And then her mother said something absolutely impossible. Had some time to think about my behavior, Jocelyn. It's been a long, lonely time since I left here 2 weeks ago, and slowly I have to admit that I've been losing you, pushing you away, by telling you how to live your life. I've had to start facing a few not so pretty things about myself. You are the one shining, beautiful thing I've done in all my life, and I've been trying to tear you down. Josh wasn't certain she heard right. Huh? Her mother put her other hand on top of Josh's, so she held Josh's hands both between hers. You were right, she said. It was all about me and what happened with your father. I never trusted another man after him. Not for years and years. And then finally I let myself believe that the one man could be all right. Kenny? Yes, Raylan gave a tight little nod. I couldn't stand to admit that I'd been wrong again. I convinced you to stay with him when you were really having second thoughts instead of listening and trying to understand what was bothering you about your relationship with him. And then I did it again. I refused to hear you when you told me that Kenny betrayed you. I lost sight of what really mattered, of what my real job as your mother now that you're an adult. I treated you like a misbehaving child instead of respecting you and your decisions and offering my support. Oh, Mom. But I want to make things right with you. I want you to know that from now on, I'm not going to make everything all about me. From now on, I am on your side, Jocelyn. It's your choice who you marry, and Jason seems like a fine young man. I support you in your choice. I'm sure that you and Jason will be very happy together. Josh's throat locked up and her eyes brimmed. She managed to croak out a second time, oh, Mom, and then they were both reaching out, grabbing each other close, holding on so very tight. I love you, honey, her mother said. I love you and I support you. So please forgive me for being such a blind, hopeless fool. That was 289 and 290. The last page before I leave you hanging with what happened and the rating. She whispered, in case you didn't notice, my mom's come around. I kind of had a feeling she might. I still can't believe it. It's like a miracle. Hey, he smoothed that wildly curling cinnamon short hair of hers. It's not all that surprising. It is to me. She loves you, he said, utterly dangerous word. Without stopping to think about it, she figured out that she needs to be on your side. Love. Josh glanced away, and then she was tipping her face up to again, putting her big smile on. Have fun, she kissed him. He left feeling strangely regretful, as though he should have said something. He hadn't, as though he missed the chance somehow. Will he say that he loves her? Will Kenny come back and crash the wedding? And she chose Kenny, not Jace. The only way to find out is read this amazing book. I'm giving it a 22, which is off the charts, must read, page turning, hot, cowboy. You'll want to rope him for yours in real life and not just a book cover. And I think Hallmark should gang up with Harlequin and make this into a movie. Maybe tame it down just a little bit, but it would make one fine Hallmark movie. That's your rating on this book. Next up is your magazine tidbits. Stay put.